All right, welcome everybody. This is the second episode of the No Safety Guys Allowed podcast. I'm probably just as surprised as you that we're doing the second one. Uh, so, what I promised you, if you watched the first video, was I was going to talk about some case studies and really how it applies to the world of organizational and human performance. And that's what I'm trying to do today. So today's case study is what to me is a really interesting event. Uh, it involves the Cold War, nuclear bombs, the Clintons make an appearance. It's always good, and yeah, it's not really a publicized event, and I had not heard of it till recently. And when you dig into it and you apply the organizational human performance principles that we talked about from the Department of Energy, it's it really is amazing. So with that being said, let's talk about the Damascus incident. So and that's the way it was. So this particular event took place September 18th, 1980. Go back in time, you know, Carter was president. He was about to lose the election to Reagan. Diana Ross's "Upside Down" was the number one song in the country, and Robert Redford's first directing debut here with "Ordinary People" was actually the number one movie. And on this day, we almost turned the 25th state of the Union into the world's largest lake. Yeah, I'm talking about Arkansas there, Miles. Yep. It's so what when I mentioned earlier that this is all based on I recently learned about it rather. Working in the safety realm has completely ruined the way I watch television. So this was a few years ago, and I'm sitting on the couch on a Sunday, watching a Saints game, and an ad comes on for this new movie on PBS of all places called Command and Control. And just from watching the trailer, I knew that it was something that I wanted to learn more about. So this was back in 2016 that the movie was released. It was based on a book by the same title from a few years earlier, um, and written by this cat, Eric Schreider. I don't know. I'll ruin his name. Schlosser. Sorry. And some of you may have watched or read one of his other books. He did Fast Food Nation, which was actually really good. So I apologize for butchering your name. It both of those books were great reads, actually. So what is it about Arkansas, and in particular Damascus, Arkansas, on this date in September back in the 80s, um, that gets our attention? So, again, think of the time. It's Cold War America, missile silos everywhere, not everywhere, but strategically placed. And we almost is probably not giving it enough justice, detonated a 9 megaton nuclear bomb on U.S. soil. Just to give you an idea of how flippin' powerful a 9 megaton nuclear bomb is, it is 3 times more powerful than every single bomb dropped during World War II, including the 2 atomic bombs. This is a bad sumbitch. So, but how? So, could you imagine if this would have happened? I mean, think of the ways it would have changed history. No more Clintons. I don't I mean, can you imagine a world with no Bill and Hillary Clinton? Sorry, I was imagining it. But what caused it? What caused us to almost remove Arkansas from the map? An 8 pound, almost 9 pounds, 8.75 pound socket. An 8.75 pound socket triggered what could have been, to this day, the worst disaster on American soil. So, again, what we try to do in organizational and human performance is understand the context, right? So this was about 6:30 p.m. on September 18th. You had two airmen who were conducting maintenance on what you see here on the screen, this Titan II missile. It was at the launch complex there in Damascus. And so while doing the maintenance, that 8.75 pound socket that I showed you came off of a ratchet, fell 70 feet, ricocheted a few times, and punctured the missile's fuel tank. And when that happened, it released about 10,000 gallons of fuel. It actually took some time, and what you'll see in these things is it's not a split second in these events. It's not a split second, oh crap, and it's over. This was around, again, 6:30 p.m. The actual explosion takes place at 3 a.m. on the 19th, and it blew, again, the 9 megaton warhead all the way out of the silo, and it landed 100 feet from the gate of the launch complex. A 9 megaton bomb took a ride and landed 9 feet from 100 feet from the entry gate. Thankfully, in this particular case, the safety measures, protections on the warhead all operated correctly, some engineering controls, and there was no loss of any radioactive material. Unfortunately, there was one airman who was killed, and 21 people were seriously injured as well during this event. It also equated into evacuating the surrounding areas. It was about 1,400 residents that had to evacuate. I don't know where you evacuate to, because had this thing gone pear-shaped, you still vapor. So, Thanos is still snapping his fingers. So, anyway. So, what did we learn from the event, right? How can we tie this into the world of human performance and organizational performance? Well, there's something in the Department of Energy's handbook that we talked about in the first video called Error Precursors. So there's your definition. Error precursors are unfavorable conditions embedded in the job site that create mismatches between the task and the individual. So the error precursors hinder you from successful work, right? They're errors. They provoke errors, as it says in the definition. So, and what we look for when we talk about human performance is error-likely situations where there's an unintended deviation from the behavior you want. So again, we in decades past, we want that perfect worker. but it doesn't exist. So we have a human unintentionally deviating from all those administrative safeguards that we put in place. There's multiple, one, two, who knows, error precursors present. And then the overall situation, the context of the situation, what task is involved, who is involved, all those things all come into play, and they create what we call error precursors. And it's pretty straightforward stuff. Things that we've talked about in our industry before, time pressure. There's some more on the screen: high workload, simultaneous actions. So those are all focused on the task. And then on the individual, how familiar are you with the task? How knowledgeable are you with the task? Do you have an unsafe attitude? And I know that sounds old school safety, but if you think about it, what that means is people have different degrees of risk that they're willing to accept. And then we go into the work environment. Does your routine change? What kind of distractions are there? Any kind of hidden systems or equipment response that we weren't expecting. And then again, back to the human, the stress, any assumptions you make, complacency. The safety guy's favorite word, complacency. And inaccurate risk perception. So again, going back to what we talked about before, what do you deem to be high risk? And so if you take these error precursors and you apply them to, in hindsight, because everybody can play Monday morning quarterback, if you apply them to the event that we just spoke about, you had a maintenance crew of airmen, young guys. So go back to our military conversation of yesterday, or the first video rather, and they had been on the job site. They had been at work for 12 hours already. 12 hours. They get a call, said, yo, you got to go do this maintenance now. They ain't happy. They've been working for 12 hours. They're in a hurry to try to get this crap done and move on. So if you imagine the protections around a nuclear missile, right? To go and work on it. So think full pandemic outfit these days. So the full suit, SCBA, you got breathing air. This is not a fun job. You got to put on all this crap to go do what seemingly is a very monotonous routine task, nevertheless being done on a missile carrying a 9 megaton warhead. But so they do all this, the airmen don all the suits, they go into this pristine environment because we can't contaminate it. And then when they get there, they're looking at the missile and they realize, damn it, we forgot the torque wrench in the truck. So the decision point is right here. Do we A, take off all this crap, go back outside, get the torque wrench that this little piece of paper says I gotta have, come back in, redon the protective gear, the breathing air, and all these things just to do this simple maintenance? I've got the socket, and an error was made. So what? They chose to use a ratchet that was in the silo. It fit, kinda. And that's what they did. And so that's part one. It's not the right ratchet for the socket. Socket falls off. Part two. So if you look back on those folding work platforms that are around the missile itself, they have these protective rubber boots on the outside of them to protect the missile. And the work was being done right up against the missile. And unbeknownst to the airmen, that rubberized boot had deteriorated over time, because thankfully we weren't shooting a whole lot of missiles off, and become very pliable. It degraded. And so when the socket falls, the rubber boot doesn't prevent it from falling any further. And so it goes another 70 feet down, ricocheting and puncturing the fuel tank of said missile. So what I challenge the safety professionals to look at is, this would have been really easy, or was really easy, to go back and say they made a mistake. Punish them. They should have had the right tool for the right job, damn it. But if you have a 9 flipping megaton nuclear warhead, do you want to rely on a 20-year-old to ensure that he is following every single line of the maintenance procedure to a T? Because if he doesn't, are you willing to accept a 9 megaton bomb going boom? We have to identify these types of error likely situations. Again, not Billy with a hard hat, not having his hard hat or having dark safety glasses on at night, the horror. But these types of catastrophic situations should be the first things we look for, not the easy shit. I was watching a football game last night, and they were talking about this particular coach's way of coaching, coaching a quarterback. See, in the NFL, most quarterbacks are taught to start with the short reads and work their way to the longer reads on a pass play. This coach does the opposite. Start long. Start for the big one. And that's what we try to do in organizational and human performance is we don't start with the safety glasses or the hard hat or the gloves. We go straight to the 9 megaton bomb and work our way back. And that's a big change in everything that we've been taught. Again, I go back to the stupid pyramid that we've proven false time and time again. That you don't start at those minor unsafe behaviors. You go all the way to the top. The only thing we're worried about is the tip of the pyramid. And error precursors give us as safety professionals, and when we educate our workforce about them, gives them an opportunity to realize that, look, we got a lot of shit that isn't lining up. Let's just pump the brakes and see what else we can do about it. So please use this going forward. There's more information in the Department of Energy's Human Performance Manual on error precursors. Some good stuff. If you're interested on the Damascus Incident itself, the full documentary is actually on Netflix. It's a great watch. Again, you can do it strictly for entertainment purposes or nerd out on the whole situation. The trailer's on YouTube. There's I'll link a great article on Popular Mechanics about it. And then good old Wikipedia has a decent amount of information about it. And then the actual book itself, Command and Control, by Eric Schlosser, I have it linked there on the Amazon link. And like always, guys, feel free to shoot me a note, tell me how much I suck, because I do. And until next time, don't be a safety guy.